Commander Isabella Reed stood at the viewport of the Terran Defense Station Artemis, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of stars. The latest intelligence report sat heavy in her neural interface, its contents burning through her mind like acid. The Galactic Empire, in their arrogance, had finally shown their hand. "They're planning to hit New Eden first," James Harrison's voice crackled through the secure quantum channel. The veteran intelligence operative had spent the last 3 years deep undercover within the Empire's military command. "Their fleet movements suggest they'll use it as an example. Total planetary annihilation." Reed's fingers curled into fists, her knuckles white. New Eden was humanity's most prosperous colony, home to 12 million souls who had transformed a barren world into a garden. How long? 3 months, maximum. "They're gathering their forces under the guise of routine exercises." Harrison's voice carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. "The Empire thinks we're blind. Primitive. They don't realize we've had eyes on them for years." Reed moved to her tactical display, where a holographic representation of known space sparkled to life. Red markers indicated Empire fleet positions, their movements now taking on a sinister pattern. "The Council needs to see this. All of it." Within hours, the Terran Defense Council assembled in their secure chamber beneath the Himalayan mountains. 12 leaders, representing Earth and her colonies, faced the gravity of their situation. Admiral William Parker, his weathered face illuminated by hovering displays, spoke first. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see confirms our worst fears." The tactical display expanded, showing the Empire's buildup. "They're not coming to subjugate us. They're coming to exterminate us." Counselor Zhang Wei, representing the Asian coalition, leaned forward. "Can we trust this intelligence? The Empire has made threats before." "The source is beyond question," Reed interjected, stepping into the light. "And this time, they're not just rattling sabers. They've already begun moving their planet-killer platforms into position." The chamber erupted in controlled chaos, voices rising and falling as the implications sank in. Humanity had known this day might come, had prepared for it in secret mountain facilities and hidden orbital shipyards. But knowing and facing were two different beasts. "Project Phoenix," Reed said, her voice cutting through the noise. The room fell silent. "It's time." Admiral Parker's expression hardened. "Phoenix isn't ready. Dr. Nash needs at least 6 more months to stabilize the quantum fold matrix." "She has 3, Reed countered, bringing up new projections. "Either we activate Phoenix, or we watch New Eden burn. Those are our options." The Council's debate raged for hours, but in the end, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would not wait to be slaughtered. They would strike first, and they would strike hard. In her private quarters later that night, Reed reviewed the activation codes for humanity's hidden defense networks. Years of preparation, trillions in secret funding, all leading to this moment. The Empire thought they knew humanity's capabilities, thought they had measured and dismissed them. They were wrong. Harrison's final transmission of the day brought a grim smile to her face. The Empire's War Council was celebrating their impending victory, drinking to the extinction of the primitive humans. They had no idea that their communications were compromised, their movements tracked, their weaknesses mapped. "Begin Phase 1, Reed transmitted to the encrypted network of human operatives throughout Empire space. Initiative, Sleeping Giant is now active." Across the galaxy, humans who had spent years integrating into Empire society received their wake-up calls. Mechanics, engineers, data analysts, all sleeper agents positioned in critical infrastructure. They would not commit sabotage, that would be too obvious. Instead, they would do something far more devastating. They would introduce subtle errors into the Empire's military logistics. Dr. Victoria Nash's voice came through on a private channel. "Commander, the first prototype is ready for testing. If this works..." She left the sentence hanging. "How confident are you?" The mathematics are solid. The Empire's entire technological advantage is based on their monopoly of quantum-fold science. They never imagined we could not only replicate it but improve upon it. Reed nodded, though Nash couldn't see it. Proceed with the test. And Victoria, the timeline has changed. We need it combat-ready in 3 months. There was a long pause. Understood. I'll make it happen. As the hours crept toward dawn, Reed found herself back at the viewport. Somewhere out there, the Empire's fleets were gathering, their commanders confident in their superiority. They thought they were hunting prey. They didn't realize they were about to wake a sleeping giant. The next few months would determine the fate of humanity. But for the first time since the Empire had arrived in human space, Reed felt something beyond determination. She felt hope. Because while the Empire had spent centuries perfecting the art of domination, humanity had spent millennia perfecting the art of survival. The Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson: never corner a species that had clawed its way up from the mud, survived its own near extinctions, and looked to the stars not with fear, but with determination. The game was about to change, and humanity would write the new rules. Dr. Victoria Nash's laboratory complex, buried deep within Mars' Valles Marineris, hummed with barely contained power. Holographic equations floated in the air around her, their ghostly blue light casting shadows on walls lined with quantum processors. She hadn't slept in 48 hours, but sleep was a luxury humanity could no longer afford. Run the simulation again, she ordered, her voice hoarse from too much coffee and too little rest. Her team of scientists, the brightest minds Earth had to offer, moved with practiced precision. The quantum-fold matrix, heart of Project Phoenix, pulsed with ethereal energy in its containment chamber. The Empire believed they alone had mastered quantum-fold technology, the key to their military superiority. They guarded their secrets zealously, never imagining that human scientists had been studying their tech for decades, reverse engineering it piece by piece. But Victoria hadn't just copied their work, she had improved it. Matrix stability at 97%, called out Dr. Raj Patel, her lead engineer. That's 12 points higher than their best systems. Victoria allowed herself a small smile. Prepare for weapons integration test. Halfway across the solar system, Admiral Thomas Hayes stood on the bridge of the TDS Hyperion, humanity's first quantum-fold-capable warship. The vessel represented decades of secret development, its very existence hidden from the Empire's prying eyes in the shipyards of Jupiter's dark side. Status report, Hayes commanded, his weathered face illuminated by tactical displays. Lieutenant Commander Olivia Rodriguez, his XO, responded crisply. All systems nominal, sir. The fleet is maintaining position in Jupiter's magnetic shadow. Empire sensors remain blind to our presence. Hayes nodded, studying the holographic representation of Sol system. Dozens of blue dots indicated humanity's hidden fleet, ships that officially didn't exist, crewed by men and women who had trained in secret for years. The Empire's intelligence suggested humanity possessed only a handful of primitive defense vessels. The truth would soon shock them. Message from Command, Rodriguez announced. Project Phoenix has achieved stable matrix configuration. We are authorized to proceed with Phase 2. Very well. Hayes straightened his uniform. Signal the fleet. Begin emergence protocol. One by one, humanity's secret armada slipped out of Jupiter's shadow, their quantum-fold drives humming to life. These weren't the clumsy vessels the Empire was familiar with. These ships represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, enhanced by reverse-engineered Empire technology. In high orbit above Earth, the Empire's ambassador Krixtal stood aboard his flagship, his scaled skin reflecting the light of Sol. He was conducting what he believed to be a routine inspection of human space, maintaining the fiction of diplomatic relations while his species prepared for invasion. Such a primitive world, he mused to his aide, mandibles clicking in amusement. They still rely on chemical rockets for most of their space travel. To think they once imagined themselves our equals. Ambassador, his sensor officer interrupted, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Jupiter sector. Krixtal waved a dismissive claw. Probably their mining operations. These humans are constantly. The rest of his sentence died in his throat as space itself seemed to ripple. From the void emerged ships, dozens of them, unlike anything he had ever seen in human space. Their hulls gleamed with advanced armor plating, their weapon systems humming with barely contained power. Impossible, he whispered. His communication officer's voice cracked with panic. Ambassador, we're being hailed, by Admiral Hayes of the Terran Defense Fleet. Hayes' holographic image materialized on the bridge, his expression stern. Ambassador Krixtal. I trust we have your attention. What is the meaning of this? Krixtal demanded, trying to maintain his composure. These vessels, you have stolen Empire technology. Stolen? Hayes allowed himself a cold smile. No, Ambassador. We developed this technology ourselves, alongside many other advancements we've kept hidden. Your Empire's assumption of superiority has been your greatest weakness. Back in her Mars laboratory, Victoria watched the exchange through a secure feed. Her team had paused their work, all eyes fixed on the historical moment unfolding before them. The quantum-fold matrix hummed behind them, its power now stable, ready for integration into humanity's defense grid. Dr. Nash, her communicator, crackled with Commander Reed's voice. Status update. Project Phoenix is ready, Victoria replied, her eyes fixed on the equations floating before her. The matrix is stable, and weapons integration tests are successful. We can begin full deployment whenever you give the word. Excellent. Because our timeline just accelerated. Our intelligence suggests the Empire's invasion fleet is mobilizing ahead of schedule. They're spooked by our show of force. Victoria's jaw tightened. They should be. Aboard the Hyperion, Hayes continued his conversation with the increasingly agitated ambassador. Consider this a formal notice, Ambassador. The Empire's planned invasion of New Eden, yes, we know all about it, will not proceed. Any aggressive action against human space will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. You dare threaten the Empire? Krixtal's scales flushed with anger. Our fleets will reduce your worlds to ash. No, Hayes replied calmly, they won't. Because if you're seeing these ships, imagine what else we've been hiding. Return to your masters, Ambassador. Tell them humanity is no longer accepting their dominion. The game has changed. As Krixtal's ship hastily retreated from Earth orbit, Hayes opened a secure channel to command. Phase 2 complete. The ambassador took the bait exactly as predicted. Well done, Reed's voice came through. Our agents report the Empire's military command is in chaos. They're running scenarios, trying to figure out how they missed our technological advancement. By the time they realize what's really happening, it will be too late. The seeds of rebellion had been planted. Humanity had revealed enough of their strength to shock the Empire, but kept their true advantages, particularly Project Phoenix, hidden from view. The next move would belong to the Empire, but for the first time in centuries, they would make that move from a position of uncertainty. Victoria Nash stared at the quantum-fold matrix, its ethereal glow promising a future where humanity would never again bow to alien oppression. The Empire thought they had seen humanity's full hand. They were wrong. They had seen only what humanity wanted them to see, and the real surprises were yet to come. Fleet Commander Natasha Koval stood in the Combat Information Center of the TDS Phantom, her ice-blue eyes fixed on the tactical display. The stealth vessel, humanity's most advanced warship, hung in the void near the Empire's primary supply route to their frontier territories. The Empire's invasion fleet emerged from quantum-fold space above Proxima Centauri, their massive warships darkening the sky of humanity's nearest extrasolar colony. 10,000 ships strong, it was the largest armada ever assembled in the galaxy's history. Admiral Dexthor stood on his command bridge, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Despite the devastating raids on their supply lines, Supreme Command had ordered the invasion to proceed. The Empire would not suffer the humiliation of retreat. "My lord," his censor officer called out, "no sign of human defenders. The colony appears unprotected." Dexthor's scales rippled with unease. After demonstrating such advanced technology, why would the humans leave their colony defenseless? Something wasn't right. In her Mars laboratory, Dr. Victoria Nash watched the Empire fleet's arrival through quantum-linked sensors. "They've taken the bait," she reported to Commander Reed. Initiating Project Phoenix. Deep beneath the surface of Proxima B, quantum-fold matrices powered up in perfect synchronization. The technology that had allowed Ghost Fleet to become invisible was about to be weaponized on a scale the Empire couldn't imagine. "All units, execute Operation Lazarus," Admiral Hayes' voice echoed through the secure command network. Across human space, hidden installations activated, creating an interlocking web of quantum-fold fields. Aboard his flagship, Dexthor gave the order to begin the invasion. "Commence planetary bombardment. Show these humans the price of defiance." The Empire fleet opened fire, thousands of energy weapons lighting up space. But something impossible happened. The beams and plasma bolts didn't reach their targets. Instead, they vanished into seemingly empty space, only to reappear aimed back at the Empire's own ships. "What sorcery is this?" Dexthor roared as his fleet began taking hits from their own weapons. Dr. Nash monitored the quantum-fold matrices' performance. Project Phoenix wasn't just a weapon, it was a fundamental reimagining of space warfare. The quantum fields didn't just bend space to hide ships, they could catch enemy fire and redirect it through microscopic wormholes, turning an attacker's strength against them. "Phoenix grid is stable," one of her technicians reported. "Energy redistribution at optimal levels. The Empire fleet is effectively shooting itself." Commander Reed's voice came through, tight with controlled excitement. "Status of Ghost Fleet?" "In position and undetected," Nash replied. "Ready to execute Phase 2. The Empire fleet was in chaos. Their weapons were worse than useless, they were actively dangerous to their own ships. Dexthor watched in horror as his mighty armada began taking devastating losses without a single human vessel in sight. "All units, cease fire," he ordered. But before his command could be acknowledged, space itself seemed to tear open around his fleet. Ghost Fleet decloaked in perfect attack positions, their advanced weapon systems powered by the excess energy Phoenix had collected from the Empire's own attack. Commander Koval's voice echoed through every Empire command channel. "This is your only warning. Surrender or be destroyed." Dexthor's tactical officer's voice shook with fear. "My lord, we're detecting quantum-fold signatures throughout the system. They've turned space itself into a weapon." Victoria Nash allowed herself a moment of pride as she watched the battle unfold. Years of theoretical work, countless hours of testing, all leading to this moment. Project Phoenix had exceeded even her expectations. "Dr. Nash," Commander Reed's voice carried a note of awe, "the Empire fleet, they're retreating." "Not all of them will make it," Nash replied coldly. "The quantum-fold fields are disrupting their drive signatures. Most of their ships won't be able to achieve stable fold." Admiral Hayes watched from the bridge of the Hyperion as the mighty Empire armada fell into disarray. Ships attempting to flee found their quantum drives malfunctioning, their retreat cut off by the very laws of physics. "Signal all units," Hayes ordered. "Commence final phase. Let's end this." Ghost Fleet moved with surgical precision, their weapons amplified by Phoenix's energy redistribution grid. Empire ships fell by the hundreds, then thousands, their mighty weapons and defenses rendered useless by humanity's quantum manipulation. In his failing flagship, Admiral Dexthor faced the unthinkable. The Empire, masters of the galaxy for millennia, had been outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. His ship's quantum drive sparked and died, the space around him twisted by forces he couldn't comprehend. "Send word to Supreme Command," he ordered, knowing it might be his last command. "The humans, they haven't just matched our technology. They've transcended it." As the Battle of Proxima Centauri drew to its inevitable conclusion, Dr. Nash turned to her primary display, where new data was pouring in. "Commander Reed, Phoenix Grid is showing some interesting readings. The quantum fold manipulations, they're having an effect we didn't anticipate." "Dangerous?" "No, fascinating. We're not just bending space. We're learning to reshape it. The possibilities." She paused, mind racing with implications. This could change everything. Not just warfare, space travel, colonization, even the fundamental limits of physics itself. Commander Reed's voice carried a hint of pride. The Empire thought they were coming to end humanity's story. Instead, they've helped us begin a new chapter. Ghost Fleet continued its methodical destruction of the Empire's trapped ships, while across human space, Project Phoenix's quantum grid hummed with potential. Humanity hadn't just defended itself, it had leapfrogged centuries of technological development in a single battle. The Empire's greatest fleet lay in ruins, their invasion plans shattered, their technological superiority exposed as an illusion. But for humanity, this wasn't just a victory, it was a revelation. They had proven themselves not just equal to the galaxy's greatest power, but capable of revolutionizing the very nature of space warfare. As debris from the battle drifted through the Proxima Centauri system, humanity prepared for the Empire's inevitable response. But they did so not with fear, but with confidence. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would lead that change. The Imperial Palace on Centaurus Prime, seat of Empire power for over 2,000 years, had never seen anything like this day. Commander Isabella Reed walked its crystalline halls, her footsteps echoing against walls that had never before felt human presence. Behind her, Dr. Victoria Nash and Admiral Hayes moved with equal purpose, their small delegation representing a power that had accomplished the impossible. The council chambers are ahead, their guide, a nervous Empire functionary, clicked in their translated language. The Supreme Chancellor awaits. News of the Battle of Proxima Centauri had spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. The Empire's greatest fleet, reduced to ruins by technology that defied their understanding. But it wasn't just the military defeat that had shaken the Empire to its core, it was the revelation that followed. In the aftermath of the battle, subjugated species across Empire space had risen up. The Arcturians, the Vex Collective, the Helios Confederation, all had seen humanity's victory as a sign. The Empire's grip on power had been built on technological superiority. Now that illusion was shattered. The Supreme Council chamber was a vast amphitheater, its tiered seats filled with representatives from across the galaxy. The Supreme Chancellor, a massive figure with iridescent scales, dominated the central platform. His eyes fixed on Reed with a mixture of respect and barely concealed fear. "Commander Reed," the Chancellor's voice boomed through the translation field. "You come before us not as supplicants, but as equals. Perhaps, more than equals." Reed stepped forward, her posture straight, her voice clear. "We come seeking peace, Chancellor. But it must be real peace, not the false peace of dominion and submission that has ruled this galaxy for too long." Dr. Nash activated a holographic display, showing the quantum fields that now encompassed human space. Project Phoenix has evolved beyond our initial projections. The quantum fold matrices aren't just weapons, they're gateways to understanding space itself in ways your scientists never imagined. The display shifted, showing new trade routes, faster travel times, unprecedented possibilities for exploration and colonization. The Empire's council members leaned forward, their expressions a mix of awe and calculation. "You offer to share this technology?" the Chancellor asked, mandibles twitching. "We offer partnership," Admiral Hayes responded. "A new galactic order, built on cooperation rather than domination." The Empire's time as sole arbiter of power is over, but that doesn't mean everything you've built must be destroyed. In the galleries above, representatives from the rebellious species watched intently. They had coordinated their uprisings with human intelligence, timing their revolts to coincide with the Empire's moment of greatest weakness. Now they too would have a voice in what came next. Victoria Nash stepped forward, her next words carefully chosen. The quantum fold matrices have shown us something remarkable. Space itself responds to consciousness, to intention. The more we cooperate, the more stable and powerful the fields become. It's as if the universe itself favors harmony over conflict. The Chancellor was silent for a long moment, his ancient eyes studying the humans before him. Finally, he spoke. For millennia, the Empire has known only one way, dominion through superior force. You have shown us that this path leads only to stagnation. Perhaps it is time for change. Reed nodded, allowing herself a small smile. We've prepared a treaty. One that recognizes the sovereignty of all species while establishing a new framework for galactic cooperation. The Empire retains its core worlds and cultural autonomy, but no longer holds dominion over others. And if we refuse? Admiral Hayes gestured to the holographic display, where Ghost Fleet ships flickered in and out of visibility at the edge of Empire space. Then we demonstrate that humanity's mercy is as great as its strength. We could have used Phoenix to tear your worlds apart. Instead, we offer a hand in friendship. The next hours were a blur of negotiation, debate, and finally, agreement. The Galactic Concordat was signed not just by humans and the Empire, but by representatives of every spacefaring species. A new council would be formed, with equal representation and shared responsibility for maintaining peace. As the formal ceremonies concluded, Reed found herself back at the crystal windows, looking out over the Empire's capital city. Victoria Nash joined her, both women contemplating the future they had helped forge. Did you ever imagine this? Nash asked softly. When you first learned of the Empire's invasion plans? Reed shook her head. I hoped we would survive. I never dreamed we would transform the galaxy. She paused, watching ships of various species moving through the sunset sky. Your quantum fields, they really respond to cooperation. More than respond, Nash's eyes lit up with scientific passion. They amplify it. The more species work together, the more stable and powerful the fields become. It's as if we've discovered a fundamental law of the universe: harmony breeds progress. Admiral Hayes approached, his weathered face relaxed for the first time in months. Ghost Fleet is standing down. The Empire's military has begun its withdrawal from contested worlds. It's really happening. And Project Phoenix? Reed asked. Being adapted for peaceful applications, Nash replied. The quantum fields that once reflected weapon fire will now power the fastest ships ever built, create stable wormholes for instant communication, even terraform worlds that were once thought uninhabitable. As the three leaders of humanity's resistance looked out over the alien city, each contemplated the future they had won. Not just survival, but a fundamental reshaping of galactic society. The Empire had sought to exterminate humanity, but in doing so, they had instead triggered their own evolution. Somewhere in the distance, a ship broke atmosphere, its quantum drive leaving a trail of twisted spacetime in its wake. The old order was ending, and a new age was dawning. Humanity had not just secured its place among the stars, it had changed the very nature of how species would interact with one another. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for someone to break the cycle of dominion and submission. In their darkest hour, facing extinction, humans had done more than survive. They had shown the galaxy a better way forward. As night fell on Centaurus Prime, lights began to appear in the city below, not just the cold blue of Empire technology, but a rainbow of colors representing a dozen species. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, new possibilities. But for now, in this moment, there was only the quiet satisfaction of knowing that humanity had written its own destiny among the stars.